snowball locked and loaded.
Sounds like he had it coming.
You're not getting nothing for Christmas.
Are there crackheads in it?
This is a bad idea from the beginning.
That would have been killer if they got OJ.
Fucking Philadelphians, man.
MADCAST is recorded before a live studio audience.
Welcome to MADCAST. Philadelphia sports fans have a reputation, for violence. This episode, we explore the root cause of that unfair characterization. The 1968 Santa Claus assault. Take it away, Steve Gallagher.
Well, this story might not be as exciting as getting robbed by crackheads, but it's good to set the record straight. So for nearly 6 decades, national reporters have disparagingly referred to Philadelphia as the city that threw snowballs at Santa Claus. They dust off this tired anecdote anytime boos rain down in a Philadelphia stadium or an unfortunate local incident goes national. The image of belligerent, fanatical Eagles fans pelting snowballs at the beloved Father Christmas is ingrained in minds across the country. And while many Philadelphians relish this villainous reputation and embrace the nationwide disdain, the true story of the snowball incident is much less malicious.
Are there crackheads in it?
Fortunately not. No. The date is December 15th, 1968. The location, Franklin Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The Philadelphia Eagles are playing the final game of their dismal season against the Minnesota Vikings. Our hero, Frank Olivo, a 20-year-old barber from South Philadelphia, and his 2 uncles arrive early at the stadium so they can watch the players warm up and heckle the opponents. Their families had season tickets since the 1950s. This year's tickets for 7 home games cost $27.
That's hard to believe given what we were just talking about. Thousands of dollars for like 4 seats or whatever.
Crazy expensive.
I can't afford it. I don't go. I mean, I don't want to go anyway, but even if I wanted to go.
We go to 1 game a year, 40 of us. It is fun, but it keeps going up higher and higher each year. And the parking is like ridiculous too. Go ahead.
Of course, Woolman's too cheap to have the seats shoveled out. One uncle says about the team owner when they reached their section behind the end zone. An overnight storm had covered the stadium in snow and slush and left temperatures in the low 20s with wind gusts reaching 30 miles per hour. Gave all his money to Kaharich, the other uncle says. Both uncles are wearing buttons on their jerseys that read, "Joe must go." It's a reference to the team's despised head coach, Joe Kaharich, who just signed an unprecedented 15-year contract a few years earlier. The team's mediocre performance in the years since and the prospect of 11 more years of Coach Kaharich have only intensified the calls for his firing.
They get real nuts about the owners and coaches, right? That's not like an isolated incident.
Nah, the team dies or lives by your coach,
All right, who's got the ice cream truck?
Oh, that's me, man. Sorry.
Don't everybody run out there at once.
Sometimes I run out the house and go, Rob, ice cream's here, because he lives across the street.
Frank spots a plane circling above the stadium, towing a banner with the same message as the buttons. Joe must go. Frank's keeping his button in his pocket. Doesn't want to risk damaging the Santa Claus suit he's wearing. He bought it a couple years ago for $100, which was a lot, but he knew he'd get his money's worth. He'd worn it to the final Eagles home game the past 2 seasons and relished the cheers and attention it garnered from his fellow fans. He even got picked up by a TV camera last year, which was a thrill for his uncles and cousins watching back at grandma's. Frank isn't expecting a win today. Part of him, a small part, is actually rooting for a loss. A win would only further damage the Eagles' draft position. At 2 wins and 11 losses, their playoff hopes are long gone. Worse, the consolation prize of first pick in the upcoming draft has already been secured by the 1-win Buffalo Bills. After starting the season with 11 straight losses, Eagles fans were optimistic that they'd get first pick and select Heisman Trophy winner O.J. Simpson. But 2 meaningless wins the past 2 weeks have dashed those hopes.
That would have been killer if they got OJ.
Literally.
Is OJ still alive?
He just passed away recently.
He never found the real killer either.
I don't get it. Why would it be in a team's advantage to be the worst team in the league?
Get the best college football player.
Yeah, that's well said. There was an NFL running back. He played on the Buffalo Bills. They said, you're going to get the number 1 pick and you're going to Buffalo. And all he knew, he was like, New York? I'm going to New York, And he said he got there. He thought he was going to be like in the city, He had no idea where Buffalo was. And he ended up playing there for 10 years,
Wow.
After a scoreless opening quarter, the restless crowd unleashes their frustration with a symphony of boos. One fan jumps from the stands and sprints up to Coach Gallagher, give him a piece of his mind. Another fan runs out to midfield dragging an effigy of Eagles owner Jerry Woolman.
Sounds like he had it coming.
Frank joins his uncles and dozens of other fans in chucking snowballs onto the field in disgust until he spots a suited man on the Eagles sideline pointing in their direction. Don't throw it, Frank says to his uncle, who's got a snowball locked and loaded. Suited man looks irritated as he climbs into the stands and heads straight to Frank. I'm Bill Mullen, entertainment director for the Eagles, the man says, extending his hand. We got a problem. We're putting on a Christmas show at halftime, and our Santa didn't show up. Any chance you'd be willing to fill in? Hell yeah, he would, Frank's uncle yells.
Seriously, what would you do? Would you do it?
Hell yeah.
I'd do it. Nobody knows who I am.
Right.
So what happens to the guy?
Mullen gives Frank his instructions. When the band plays Here Comes Santa Claus, you walk out through the rows of cheerleaders, waving to the crowd. Go to the other end zone and head back along the track. He hands Frank a basket of candy canes to throw to the crowd.
If I understand your research correctly, they're already throwing snowballs at people from the stands, right? That was the thing, right?
You're up, Mullen says when the band starts playing the familiar tune. The boos are deafening.
Are they booing when he comes out? Are they booing Santa Claus right off the bat?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
They're just locked and loaded anger. And it's worse when you win. Got to put grease on poles so people don't climb on it.
Now, wait a minute. We're coming off 11 losses in a row. They're a little angry.
Just because the British didn't burn your city doesn't mean that you have to.
While not a skinny kid, Frank doesn't fill out the suit like the jolly fat man, and with every step, the beard slips further down his face. Woman won't even pay for a real Santa, one fan yells.
I heard he was a skinny Santa.
When he reaches the other end zone, he turns around and starts back along the track, which borders the field closer to the stands. He tosses a handful of candy canes to some kids in the front row and gives a ho, ho, ho in his best Santa voice. When he reaches back into the basket, a snowball explodes on the track in front of him as if dropped from the sky. Frank looks towards the upper deck and sees more frozen projectiles heading his way. He moves forward to evade them, but they're coming from every angle now. He takes a snowball to the gut and the top of the head. One even knocks his eyebrows off. He spots a grandmother tossing a snowball that falls short of the track, but her grandson makes up for it with a direct hit to the sternum.
Philadelphians, man. Successive generations, Philadelphia anger.
I'm just picturing that poor guy. He sees the first one that explodes next to him, and when he looks up, all he sees is snowballs coming down like missiles.
Right.
After some initial shock, Frank gets into it. You're not getting nothing for Christmas, he yells with a laugh at one fan he catches mid-throw. Throughout the assault, he continues tossing candy canes to the crowd until he empties his basket and makes it back to the safety of the tunnel. Mullen greets him with a high five and a brush on his shoulder, sweeping off the snow. Ready to do this again next year? What if it doesn't snow? What do they throw then? Frank laughs, only half kidding.
Is there video of this?
There has to be.
I don't think anything is still around.
All right, MADCAST fans, if any of you locate a video, post a link below.
Frank returns to his seat to a standing ovation from his uncles and the other fans in his section.
How are we so sure his uncles weren't throwing snowballs at Frank, man? You know, they probably were.
Good point. With a few minutes left in the fourth quarter, Bill Mullen returns to Frank's seat and gives him a gift from the Eagles for his service, a pair of football-shaped cufflinks and a tie tack. It's all Woolman can afford, says one of the uncles.
Yeah, big deal.
You guys remember, I think it's 93, the Phillies are in the World Series, that crazy 93 team. And at one point they had an orchestra in the stands. The conductor is going like this, and one of the fans reached over and grabbed his stick. And then the announcer goes, you know, Bob, that fella's lucky if he still has his wallet.
The ABC Weekend Report, the national news show featuring Howard Cosell on sports, plays his clips of the weekend's NFL highlights, The only footage he shows of the Eagles-Vikings game is the pelting of Santa at halftime, accompanied by his criticism of the shameful behavior of the home crowd. Just like that, the story goes national and Philadelphia's infamy begins. Frank isn't mentioned by name in most of the stories, so his notoriety stays local. But for his customers at the barbershop, he's a legend.
I bet.
For months, every conversation during a haircut eventually turns to the tale of Santa's lap around Franklin Field, which Frank eagerly tells every time. Frank's trek across the field becomes more harrowing with each telling. Dozens of snowballs become hundreds, and the crowd becomes rocket-armed snipers with pinpoint accuracy. Everyone wants to talk to Santa. The Santa game would end up being Joe Kaharich's last game as head coach of the Eagles. Facing bankruptcy, Eagles owner Jerry Wolman sold the team that offseason, and the new ownership swiftly bought Kaharich out of the remaining years on his deal, much to the delight of the Philly faithful.
Who's the owner now?
Jeffrey Lurie.
Is he well liked?
Yeah.
He's not liked.
Not liked. Is that like a rousing endorsement in Philadelphia? Not liked.
Frank Olivo died in 2015 at the age of 66 after a long battle with heart disease. His obituary read in part, as an avid and loyal Philadelphia sports fan, Frank cherished his place in Philadelphia sports history as the infamous Santa Claus during the snowball incident at Franklin Field in December 1968. And in an interview with ESPN in 2011, Frank said, "My 15 minutes of fame lasted 43 years."
God bless him, man. To Frank.
Was he ever? I wonder if he ever capitalized on it, sold T-shirts or
Don't sound like it.
no.
I don't think so.
It sounds like at the very least you could have took his Santa suit and did like pizza shop openings or like used car dealer commercials or something like that.
Or he could have sat on a dunk tank, in
Yeah.
a Santa Claus suit,
And they throw
snowballs at him.
Yeah, he'd have to fall into a hot tub though.
Yeah, right.
I always thought it was the official Santa, that they had done that to.
The official Santa, he never showed up.
Well, he missed out.
Might have been drunk. Santas drink all the time.
My wife's father or stepfather is a Santa Claus. He's an amazing Santa Claus. He went to Santa school. He spent a week there.
Wow, like Santa you.
One time we were at the Thanksgiving parade. You see the Santa coming down, at the end of the parade. And he goes, "Look at this guy. This guy's a joke. Look at them boots. They look like they're from freaking Walmart. His beard ain't even real." Like, oh my God, they're very critical of one another. It's nuts.
And he's not worried about the risk, being in Philly. Well, we haven't talked about this yet, but Steve Gallagher, your dad, our Uncle John, was at this game.
Yeah.
He said he was, but when I spoke to him,
So allegedly,
allegedly, it seemed like he wasn't sure.
you would think he would remember because of the incident.
Yeah, and all the fame that it got. Yeah.
All right. Does anybody have anything they want to add?
The Eagles ended the 1968 season with the third worst record in the league, which gave them the third pick in the draft. And they selected Leroy Keys, running back from Purdue. He played with the team for 4 disappointing seasons and is widely considered one of the biggest draft busts in team history. O.J. Simpson, on the other hand, was selected number 1 overall by the Buffalo Bills, where he had a Hall of Fame career slicing through defenses and slashing almost every rushing record along the way.
Slicing and slashing.
It's subtle.
Not really.